On this day, April 10th, 2025, fans of the Beatles are feeling confident that they have figured out the reason why Sir Paul McCartney departed the band 55 years ago. In April of 1970, the band, known as the Fab Four, officially disbanded, and from that time, they do not perform together again. Prior to the release of his first solo album, McCartney caused a controversy in the media by announcing on this day in 1970 that he was no longer working with the band. However, due to the reaction to his departure from the Beatles, his self-titled release, which featured the popular track Maybe I'm Amazed, was not successful at the time. With John Lennon informed McCartney, Ringo Starr, and George Harrison that he intended to leave the group, McCartney, who is now 82 years old, would subsequently go on record and declare that the band had more or less finished prior to his announcement. Fans of McCartney are currently attempting to determine the rationale by which McCartney left the Beatles, and they have suggested a number of different factors that could have been the cause of his departure. The release date for Paul's record was scheduled to take place before the release date for the Get Back, Let It Be album. The Allen, following a discussion, Klein and the Beatles came to the conclusion that Paul's album would be postponed, and the release date of Let It Be would continue. After learning that he would not be permitted to alter the songs he was performing on Let It Be, Paul was quite upset about this situation. Previously, he had complete control over the music he composed and performed. Another possible explanation that McCartney may have used for his departure from the Beatles was also mentioned by the user in question, his in-laws being called animals by John, and the general animosity between them and Klein, who was the manager of the Beatles, was a potential source of contention. The possibility of a breakdown in his professional relationship with John Lennon was also brought up as a potential threat to the band's continued existence. People were able to read between the lines and determine that he had resigned from his position since he had written an interview that was extremely similar to an interview that John had given around a few months before. After Paul's departure, the media throughout the world interpreted it as the end of the Beatles, and the rest, as they say, is history. The question of who was responsible for the dissolution of the Beatles has been answered by McCartney. Yes, that was our very own John Lennon.